it would look good to all of these all the big wigs, all you people, all the American citizens. Because he's not that stupid. Not that stupid. So why didn't he take the route of making it all look good, making it all look pretty? He didn't have to make this virus this huge issue. All he had to do was have a good response, and that would have looked good going forward, trying to be president again. So why didn't he just do what most people do during an inspection time? Just make it look pretty, nothing grand, nothing extra. Just make it look pretty, make it look up to par, make it look clean. That would have been an up to par response. Virus comes on the scene, you pass out PPE, hold a press meetings. You're doing what's necessary. You're doing what, as far as an administration, you're up to par as far as your response. That's all he would have had to do. You made it look pretty for the big wigs. You passed inspection, and it's over with. So why knowing that all these people are watching, why wouldn't you do the correct thing that they would expect you to do? Why would you do something that would be questionable in a time of being reelected? I mean, you don't want to take no chances. You don't got a million chances to get this right. One thing could prove fatal to getting reelected. So you're going to do everything correct. So why did he have an incorrect response to COVID, knowing everybody's watching? This isn't an off year in his election. This isn't an off year in his term, I mean. Some off year, you in there already. It's just another year. This is election year. Very important information, because it shows how the White House conducts themselves, or should have conducted themselves, or would be conducting themselves during this time. COVID-19 came during the time of election year. A lot of y'all was so blindsided by it that you kind of forgot about that, or you didn't even think about it. So why didn't he just do the correct thing just to stay out of harm's way? Because he, being him, Donald Trump, he thought that he could get you real. He thought that he could get your vote for fixing up a virus in your community. So he let it get out of control so that he could fix it. The only part you need to know is he let it get out of control on purpose. That's the part you need to know. That automatically, by any people of integrity standard, is a death sentence, a physical death sentence. That's almost like a war crime. And that person would be dead. That's by government standards. This person would be dead. Well, you intentionally put people in harm's way. Intentionally. You intentionally put people in harm's way and killed people to get reelected by the community, by the government. All those lives lost because of him. That's a death sentence. I bet half of his supporters are not even aware of this information. that literally, not my opinion, not someone else's opinion, literally, they had a slow response to COVID to get reelected. And and what should make you believe this more than anything is the fact that now you find out he had all these other operations to keep him in power. He had all these other operations to keep him as president. So it's not far-fetched that he would try to cultivate a storm, fix it, so that he could get reelected. It's not far-fetched, is it? It's not far-fetched from his crass, nasty attitude and behavior, is it? It's not far-fetched at all. It's not far-fetched from his questionable racist mentality, now is it? And everyone's telling you this happened. Not just me. Kamala Harris told you it happened. She told you they had an intentional slow response on COVID. They intentionally did nothing. There was a time they knew and you didn't, and they did nothing. That's a 7. They ate breakfast, they went to work, they lived. They knew about all of this going on with COVID, and you didn't, as an entire community, you didn't know nothing. You didn't know anything. You didn't know nothing. And they was just going about life. They were just going about life, knowing about COVID-19, and your whole American community did not. I'm showing you who your enemy is. They went to bed without no problems. They didn't lose any sleep. Wow. COVID-19 was coming on the horizon, and they was doing nothing about it. Oh yeah, this is coming to the light too. Everything done in darkness has to come to the light. It has to. And now we find out Donald Trump intentionally put your people in harm's way to get re-elected. He was that desperate to get re-elected. He wanted to cultivate this storm like a businessman. Think about a cheesy, corny, glitz suit businessman. Well, come on, let's take advantage of this. Can't you see him now? Let's see how this works. Let's see what we can do with this. If he didn't say it to anybody, he said it within himself. Let's see what we can do with this. Let's see how I can manipulate this and come in and fix it, and everybody will sing my praises. I will get reelected. This is what men do for power in your country. They've proven it. You thought people like that was a thing of the past, didn't you? You thought it was a thing of the past. But now you see that it's not. It's still people that will do any and everything for a little piece of nothing. Now what does he have? Even if he's president again, who cares? When you think about him, you think about negativity. You don't think about anything good. You don't think about how much he's changed things in your country, or he's improved things in your country. You don't think about any of that, right? You don't, do you? So who cares if he's reelected anyway? You should be. You should care. So now we see who's public enemy number one for real. It's not me. It's Donald Trump. He put your whole community in this whole situation. Who knows how you would have got out of COVID if this had not happened the way he did it. Him having a slow response that Kamala Harris told you about. Because time was of the essence. Every day that went by was lives lost. Now we know. Every day they did nothing was lives lost. Every single day. And now you rolling around here like you found public enemy number one in me. You're just such an idiot and such morons. You've always been scared to face your real enemies. And you always pick on everyone else. But you never face your real enemies. You never faced Russia. You never faced white racists in America. You haven't you haven't totally confronted them, being white people or black people. They have not, racist white Americans have not been totally confronted in your country. So see where we are? We're in a place and time and season where you realize your country is going through all of this. As far as COVID-19, the different variants, I know you want to act like it's going away, but people are still dying every day. While you feel it's going away, it has gone away, someone just lost their mother to COVID last night. Why you think it's going away? It's still here. Why you think it's going away? And who are you going to blame? You going to blame me? Yeah, you won't blame Donald Trump, will you? Oh, you're scared of some kind of power he has, aren't you? That's what has happened to the American community. You have become subject to any and everybody's power. You're subject to the power of the gangs, Crips and Bloods, and Folk Nation and Vice Lords. They show any kind of power, you scared. You scared of police power. You think they're a gang. You scared of their power. You're definitely scared of the government's power. And you're scared of even racist white people. You're scared of their power. Americans are subject to every power here because they fear every power here. Every power. You name one power that's active that these Americans don't fear. They fear it all. So it's safe to conclude that they fear Donald Trump's power too. That's why they ain't saying nothing. I mean, who else going to tell you? Who else is going to tell you? Kamala Harris told you. In front of the entire international community, she told you that Donald Trump's administration had an intention, they had a slow response to COVID. They knew about COVID way before the American community did, and they did nothing about it. She put her whole reputation, what that tells you, she put her whole reputation on the line in front of the international community by telling you this information. If she was wrong about that, she would have lost her whole political career. Think about it. She's saying this at a vice presidential debate. She could have lost her whole credibility. And that's the first thing she said would make it so bad. It's the first thing she said out her mouth. when they start asking questions at the vice presidential debate, the first thing that came out of her mouth was the slow response of the Trump administration concerning COVID-19. That was the first thing she said out of her mouth, was that the Trump administration had a slow response to COVID-19. That was the first thing she said out of her mouth. With the huge audience that probably would have zumped, that probably left after what, like 20 minutes? But everybody got that part. Because that's the first thing she said out her mouth. You think this woman is going to risk being a vice president to say something that's not true? The very first thing she said as well, you think that's not going to be true? When that's getting all the attention, the very first thing said, she got the floor first. That was the first thing said. The Trump administration had a slow response to COVID. And then a committee did a 46-page report and themselves, which means they investigated and found, now this is besides me and Kamala Harris, a committee, not conspiracy theorists. They concluded that Donald Trump had an intentional slow response to COVID for political points. Obviously, to get reelected. They prevented public briefings on COVID-19. So you didn't see it, you could have seen more briefings on it. Therefore, more lives could have been saved because more people would have took it seriously. They held back public briefings. This is what the report said. The 46-page report said that the House Selects Subcommittee, this is what the report said that they did. This is a real official committee here. This ain't nothing to sneeze at. This isn't conspiracy theorists. This isn't people, they don't know what they're doing. This is people who specialize in investigating the White House. They did a 46-page report. This is facts. This happened. The pages are real. They did a real investigation and found out Donald Trump had an intentional slow response to COVID to get political points, obviously to get re-elected. So all the evil that you feel that's resonating, some of it is because of that. That's evil. He put you in harm's way. He was willing to risk somebody's life. That's a 7. Well, it's a virus. Somebody might die. So it's safe to say he at least at a minimum knew somebody would die as a result of him having a slow response or responding not at all. He had to have it in his mind that somebody could die as a result of this. Or you don't think he thought somebody could die because of him having a slow response to COVID? You don't think he thought somebody could die? He was willing to risk it. He was willing to risk your community to get re-elected. He was willing to risk your lives for him to be back in the White House with all the perks that comes with that. I guess that's what he was after. He ain't after the politics. He's after the perks. just like a big cheesy fat cat, huh? After all the perks. Well, he ain't changing nothing. He doesn't seem passionate about doing anything for the American community. He doesn't seem passionate about changing the government. So he's after all the perks. Yeah, after all, he was a businessman. I'm pretty sure he's used to people catering to him. He was just in love with that presidential lifestyle of being catered to and getting all those good perks. That's all it was about. He used your government to get perks internationally on the international stage, if you will, perks and for people to cater to him. That's all this was. That's all his whole political career was about. Was going to the next level of perks and accommodations. See him say anything worthwhile about changing your country? Anything worthwhile? Anything remarkable as far as ideas? Did Donald Trump have any remarkable ideas? So like I said, the House Select Subcommittee did a 46-page report. And a lot of y'all don't even know. A lot of you all don't even know that happened. You don't know that happened. That the House Select Subcommittee, I don't even know who that is, but you probably don't either. But the House Select Subcommittee, this group of individuals did do a report, a 46-page report on how the coronavirus was handled. And they concluded that Donald Trump intentionally put you in harm's way to get reelected, which means some of your family members are dead because this man put you in harm's way trying to get reelected. It wasn't doing anything anyway. He wasn't doing anything. He's never been doing anything. Causing more of a mess. And so, see, what I'm trying to show you is, you say, well, what needs to be done, Marcello? Well, docile as your community and government is, I don't know if the right thing can be done. You're too docile and passive as a people for the proper things to be done, for the proper judgment to be passed on this man. Now, if he was in another country, he could be, they probably would hang him. They would hang this man. He put your community in harm's way. You have deaths as a result. Officials from the American government took time out of their busy schedules on international TV. That person being Kamala Harris took the time to tell you that the Trump administration had an intentional response that was slow, a slow response to COVID-19, and you still look around like you don't know what's going on. Now that's history. That's history. A lot of y'all are shell shocked. You still at the beginning of COVID. I got it. Okay, come out of the shell shock of being in the beginning of COVID. Okay, you out the shell shock? Okay, what happened was during COVID, they did nothing. At the beginning, where you still are, well, you're at the part where you just realize what happened to your community as far as COVID-19. But before that, This is going to help you get further, ironically, realizing this. Before you knew about it, they knew about it. And it's convenient for the American community as a whole that follows Donald Trump, but is trying to keep this image of integrity of America alive. It's convenient for y'all to sit back and say nothing and do nothing. I just told you that they had an intentional slow response to the coronavirus that has destroyed your culture, your community. Donald Trump is public enemy number one. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you agree with me. I don't care how you take it. I base that off of this alone. This man intentionally put you in harm's way in order to get reelected. It makes perfect sense. Because you still can't explain why COVID is over here in the West more than where it started out east. And China has more people than you, by the way. It has more than Americans. There's more people in China than in America. So explain how COVID started way over there, but you got more of it way over here. That's a 7. I'm going to tell you how it happened. Donald Trump sat back. He wanted to cultivate a perfect storm. It backfired, and he walked away like nothing happened. He walked away in the haze and the chaos of coronavirus, and y'all didn't even really care what was going on, really. You was more concerned about your life, your family, and your well-being. But now that the dust is settling, now you want to know what happened. Oh yeah, it's coming to that point. That's why it's about to get crazy. Because people are going to start realizing the facts. This has all happened to your community in the magnitude that it happened because of Donald Trump intentionally cultivating a virus to get a little out of control, come in and fix it to get reelected. So he's to blame for why COVID is the way it is in your country. He is to blame. There's no one else to blame. There's nobody. If there's one person to blame, per se, one person, it would be Donald Trump. He put you intentionally in harm's way to cultivate this perfect storm. And for you to sing his praises. Oh, look what Trump did. That little virus came and he took care of it. That's what he was looking. That's the response that he wanted from you. Look what he did concerning that coronavirus. He took care of that. Let's reelect him. That's what he did it all for. Okay? This is why he did all of this. And here's my thing. You're still suffering as a result of that action and that decision of Donald Trump. You're still feeling the ripple effects of the Donald Trump's administration. You're still feeling the ripple effects of the Trump administration. And so the biggest question is let's see what your little docile community is going to do about it. Because Even though I'm laid back and I'm humble, I am not a docile person. Not by any stretch of the imagination am I a docile person. I am not a docile person by any stretch of the imagination. But your country is filled with docile people, and I don't know what they're gonna do because when this get out of control and it calls for aggression, when it see America, you're already killing people by government and by community. In the community, parents are killing their own children. People are killing each other at rapid rates. The government is doing it by the death penalty. The death penalty is the way the government kills people. At the end of the day, they're killing them. So I say all that to say this: you, as a community, you're killing people. All the violence and all of that, and the government is doing it by the death penalty. By the death penalty, the government is killing people. So you're still killing people. You're just not killing the right people. You're just not killing the right people. But you're still killing people. So if you're already killing people, to me, I don't see it wrong to kill the right people. You're already killing people. Why don't you kill the right people? The government has the death penalty.